Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I want to welcome you to the United Nations and to extend to you and to your delegation my commitment and the commitment of my delegation to continue the close cooperation between our two sides. As we say in Arabic, ahlan wa sahlan, welcome. I also want to express our gratitude for the briefing of Mr. Ramiz Al-Akbarov, Deputy Special Coordinator, for reporting on the quarterly report of the Secretary General as was determined in Resolution 2334. Of course, that resolution is related to the illegality of settlement activities by the occupying power in the occupied land of the State of Palestine. And we are grateful to the Secretary General for continuing his reporting on quarterly basis as has been required by him in the Resolution 2334. Mr. President, Palestine will not disappear, but every day, children, women, men, entire families disappear. Communities are uprooted. Neighborhoods are turned to dust. Lives are shattered. Land is grabbed. Homes are demolished. This is the dark reality of life in Palestine under Israel's illegal occupation. We have a duty to bring this suffering to an end, collective duty, and to do it in a way that leads to an end of the occupation and conflict once and for all, so our people never experience such pain and loss again, and all peoples can live in peace and security. We have been confronted as a nation with the denial of our rights, with an attempt that continues to this day to push us out of geography and history, to deny our existence, our belonging to the land, our rights as human beings and as a people. All peoples are endowed with a certain rights, known as inalienable rights, and our people are not less worthy and are not less entitled to them. The Palestinian people have a right to life, to liberty, to security, and to dignity. The reality our people continue to endure is one of death and devastation, dispossession and colonization, despair and displacement. But this reality is man-made. Let me repeat, it is man-made, occupation-made. It is neither their fate nor a fatality. It can be unmade. We hope and pray and work relentlessly for an end of the genocide today. And that is the most sacred goal, given the horrors every day brings upon 2 million people. But tomorrow matters as well. And what we need is not a pause in the violence and injustice, but an end to it. Violence is an impasse. It must not be fueled nor tolerated. It must be stopped. And we will not relent in our rejection of violence against civilians, Palestinians and Israelis. This is a legal, political, moral principle we will not abandon. Likewise, injustice must never be justified or shielded by anyone under any circumstances. It should never be justified. It must be brought to an end. Mr. President, Palestine is committed to peace. We are the ones who need it most in the midst of these unimaginable horrors. And peace needs to be a shared objective to become a shared reality. We are translating that commitment to peace in our actions every day. In the face of unhinged Israeli militarism, Palestine has chosen pacifism. Our part of the world does not need more death and destruction. It needs peace. Freedom will lead to peace, and peace will lead to shared security and prosperity. This is the path we must embark on. Had Resolution 2334 been implemented, had the ICJ advisory opinion on the illegality of the Israeli occupation of the West Bank, including East Jerusalem and the Gaza Strip, had been upheld, peace would be a reality today. Mr. President, over the course of the last week, the entire world rallied around clear objectives. It was a high-level week, mainly on Palestine. We thank the great majority of UN membership who made it so. We thank you all. You made history last week. From countries that recognized the state of Palestine, to those who adopted measures to end the war and occupation, to those who pledged their political and financial and humanitarian support, to those who pledged protection to end the famine and stop the massacres, to the countries that gathered at the International Peace Conference co-chaired by Saudi Arabia and France and endorsed the New York Declaration and took part in the Global Alliance for the Implementation of the Two-State Solution. The world mobilized for an end of the war on the Palestinian people, for an independent and sovereign Palestinian state, for the two-state solution. This initial part has been accomplished, and thank you to all of you. Now we roll our sleeves and get ready for what needs to be done. We have a historic document, the New York Declaration and the Annex, and we have a leadership structure led by Saudi Arabia and France and 17 other important countries from all the continents, from the Arab nations, from the OIC, from Africa, from Asia, from the Europeans, from North and South America. We have the structure, we have the roadmap, we need the full implementation. And we have the 142 countries that endorsed it. We need to make it a reality. All of it in totality. All of it in totality, because it addresses all important and sensitive issues to all of us and to the two parties. So the time and the new journey for the implementation is just beginning. The world mobilized for peace. President Trump assembled leaders from the region to push for an end of the war and to advance peace, to stop the bloodshed, to release the hostages and prisoners, to end the famine, to bring peace. President Trump also expressed clear rejection of annexation, which we welcome. We reiterate Palestine's readiness to work with President Trump and the U.S. administration, with Saudi Arabia and regional actors, with European partners and the members of this distinguished Security Council, with the entire international community. We do not want to leave anyone behind that can contribute in a positive way for the accomplishment of the two-state solution. In the pursuit of these objectives, of the independence of the State of Palestine, the realization of the rights of our people, and just and lasting peace in our region. To work together for shared peace, shared security, and shared prosperity. The decisions we make today will determine the fate of the peoples of the region for generations to come and the face of the Middle East for decades. Let us not delay a single minute more in doing what is necessary for this just peace to replace the unbearable reality of today. We owe peace to those who have endured in their flesh the scourge of war. Let us not fail those who can still save. Thank you, Mr. President.
I thank the permanent observer of the Observer State of Palestine for the statement. Now I give the floor to the representative of Israel.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, I wish to extend my congratulations to you and to Ambassador Waltz and convey my best wishes for your success. I would like to thank Deputy Special Coordinator, Mr. Al-Akbaro, for his briefing. Mr. President, we have just come through a week of speeches, theater, and spectacle. Now it is a time to step away from the stage and face reality. Prime Minister Netanyahu, as we speak, is meeting President Trump in order to discuss regional issues with a clear mission to bring our hostages home and make sure that Hamas can never again threaten Israel or exploit the people of Gaza. Mr. President, despite threats from Hamas, more than 80% of Gaza City's population has moved south, while our forces continue to dismantle terrorist strongholds. Humanitarian aid efforts continue with the support of different agencies and NGOs. The Mawasi area can accommodate those coming from the north, and on average, 250 to 300 aid trucks are unloaded in Gaza each day. Council members, picture this. Men sit in the dark, machinery hums, sparks fly, steel pipes are cut and pieces are fitted together. They are not making furniture, they are not building machines, they are not shaping tools, they are building rockets. Weapons aimed at families, schools and cities. Dozens of parts, 2 already assembled, pointing toward an Israeli town, explosives ready to be packed. Imagine our forces that move in just in time, seizing the site and dismantling the rockets just minutes before they could be fired. Do you know where this happened? Do you know when? In Gaza? In Yemen? In Lebanon? No, not Gaza, not Yemen, not Lebanon. It happened in Judea and Samaria, just last week, in a village near Ramallah. Only days later, another rocket was found near Tulkarem, another city in Judea and Samaria. It was so unstable that bomb disposal teams had to neutralize it. Let me paint a clearer picture. That first workshop was only 12.5 miles from Jerusalem. That is about the same distance as from the Eiffel Tower to the Palace of Versailles. The rocket near Tulkarem was only about 15 miles from the city of Netanya on Israel's coast, a similar distance to that between central London and Heathrow Airport. These are not far-off threats. They are weapons built within minutes of Israeli towns and cities, hidden workshops of death right on our doorstep. The same methods began in Gaza 20 years ago. It started exactly like that. Small workshops turned out rockets, and many chose to look away. But we know what happened. Those rockets multiplied into thousands, raining down on Israeli towns for years. We have learned the cost of failing to eradicate terror immediately at its source. That same danger now rises in Judea and Samaria, workshops preparing rockets and weapons just miles from our cities. Council members, you can bury your head in the sand or you can confront it. Israel does not have the luxury of ignoring it. We will confront terror. Those who turned a blind eye to Gaza 2 decades ago now see the results. We will not repeat that mistake in Judea and Samaria. Neither should this council. The terror threat in Judea and Samaria is real and imminent. These terror networks put Israeli lives directly at risk. Yet, just last week, President Macron, in an interview in CBS, he claimed, and I quote, "There is no Hamas in the West Bank." Better check again. Earlier this month, Hamas claimed responsibility for the attack at a crowded bus stop in Jerusalem where 2 Hamas terrorists murdered 6 innocent Israelis. In June, our forces uncovered 2 major Hamas infrastructures in Hebron and Bethlehem. Under Operation Iron Wall, we arrested 600 weapons. We destroyed 15 observation posts and 20 weapon workshops. And we arrested 70 Hamas terrorists in the Hebron region alone. In November 2024, Israeli forces stopped an Iranian shipment of rockets, bombs, rifles, and launchers headed for terrorists in Jenin. Yes, Iran is there too, in Judea and Samaria, arming, funding, and coordinating terror. These are the facts. So to those who question whether there is Hamas terrorist activity in the West Bank that threatens our security, the answer is yes. Last week, during the UN General Assembly week, there was no shortage of speeches and declarations. Some actors in the Middle East posed as peace brokers, while at the same time arming, training, and funding terrorists. Their hands are not clean. They fuel instability, not peace. You know, when you look in our tradition, the rabbis in the Midrash, Tehillim, on Psalm 11, they tell a story about a man that's thousands of years ago. A man sets fire to a field, then rushes forward with water, pretending to be the savior. That is what we see today. Those who light the match then step onto the stage to present themselves as peacemaker. Exactly the same. Hypocrisy, dressed as virtue. And what feeds that fire? The absence of leadership. The Palestinian Authority has not governed. It has not led. The Palestinian Authority has filled textbooks with hatred, glorified violence in public squares, and incentivized terror through its pay-to-slay policy. Let me be clear about what this policy means. You heard it a lot, pay-to-slay. What exactly it means? For more than a decade, the Palestinian Authority has paid monthly stipends, not only to terrorists in prison, but also to their families and to the families of suicide bombers. The rule is simple. The more deadly the attack, the higher the payment. And yes, even the terrorists who carried out the October 7th massacre are eligible for payments. This is not social welfare. It is blood money. It rewards murder. It sustains terror. And it is not small. It is not one case or one incident. It's a policy. This policy consumes about 8% of the Palestinian Authority's entire budget. 8%. That is more than $300 million every year. Mr. President, to put that into perspective, the same share, the same ratio would be in Russia over $30 billion a year. In South Korea, $40 billion. And more than $500 billion in the US. This is inconceivable. It is indefensible. You cannot imagine it. You cannot apprehend it. Spending hundreds of millions on this policy. This money should have gone to schools and hospitals. Instead, it goes to salaries for killers. Last week, in his message to the General Assembly, President Abbas claimed that this policy has been, and I quote, reformed. But this is the PA's pattern. Promise after promise after promise, and never deliver. In practice, nothing has changed. What is worse, speaking in Arabic to his own people, President Abbas promised exactly the opposite. He promised them nothing will change. In his own words, spoken recently in Arabic at a meeting of the Fatah Revolutionary Council, he said, and I quote, that's a direct quote, even if we have only 1 penny left, it is for the prisoners and martyrs. They must receive everything as it was in the past, and they are more precious than all of us. So I ask, which is the real Abbas? The one who speaks to this council, to the General Assembly, about reforms, or the one who tells his people in Arabic that every last penny will go to terrorists and their families? Enough with the lies. Stop the payments, not in words, but with actions. What is needed is real leadership. Leadership that does not avoid elections for almost 2 decades. Leadership that serves its people, not itself. Leadership brave enough to confront extremists. Leadership with moral clarity to end corruption and incitement. Leadership responsible enough to stop paying salaries to killers. Mr. President, while we take decisive action in Judea and Samaria to remove these threats, our operations in Gaza continue with the same determination to bring our hostages home. Israel fights on multiple fronts, but with a clear purpose. Our objectives are not complicated: to bring the hostages home and to eradicate Hamas. But peace will not come through speeches or declarations. It will only come through courage, accountability, and the will to end terror at its core. This Council faces a choice. You can look away or you can confront reality. Israel has already chosen. We will face reality. We will confront terror. We will secure our future. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank the representative of Israel for the statement. The permanent observer of the Observer State of Palestine has asked for the floor to make further statement. I give him the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, for giving me the floor. I think it's becoming crystal clear that almost the entire international community is moving in the direction of peace and putting an end to this tragedy in Gaza, the Israeli leadership, not the representative in this room, but his boss, stated it clearly, setting the stage of moving the war to the West Bank, as if what we need is more wars. They're not satisfied with all of the killings and the destruction in Gaza under all the claims that they made. Now they are making it crystal clear, phase 2 or chapter 2 of the same thing, of erasing the Palestinian people, the nation, and they say it very clearly under the banner, no to the two-state solution in which we have global consensus around it, and no to the Palestinian state. So this statement here and the one in the General Assembly Friday is the beginning of having more wars if the ceasefire to be forced on them by all of us, which might be the case in few days. They are setting the stage to go to chapter 2. We need to prevail, all of us, by giving peace a chance. We do not need to see the repetition of what happened against our people in the Gaza Strip to be in the West Bank. When will the Israeli leaders show leadership and move in the direction for peace? And you know the reason why his boss doesn't want peace? Because the moment they have ceasefire and beginning of peace in Israel, you know what will be the future of the Prime Minister, who is a wanted international criminal by the ICC. So the challenge for us, should we give peace a chance and to start the healing of all of these wounds and to give a political hope and horizon for the Palestinian people and the Israeli people and all the peoples in the Middle East? Or should we continue in this perpetual war forever? We have chosen peace. You have chosen peace. There is a party that is beating the drums to move it in the direction of the West Bank. And we should succeed in not allowing them to do so. Thank you, Mr. President.
I thank the permanent observer of the Observer State of Palestine for the statement. The representative of Israel has asked for the floor to make a further statement.
Thank you, Mr. President. As I said at the beginning of my speech, that Prime Minister Netanyahu is meeting as we speak with President Trump to discuss a ceasefire. And the negotiators are involved in that negotiations. But I haven't got an answer, Mr. Mansour. Will you stop the payment for terrorists who committed horrible crimes? Will you stop with that policy? You can say no, or you can say yes. And you referred about our activities in Judea and Samaria, and you are absolutely right. If you will not face the extreme forces in Judea and Samaria, we will have to go in and deal with the terrorists. Look what happened in Gaza. We left Gaza 2005, 20 years ago, completely. We gave you the keys. We told you, you will rule Gaza, the PA. You got the opportunity, but you were not able to confront the extremists. Hamas took over, and then we had no choice after October 7th and to go in. And if the same will happen in Judea and Samaria, and you will not be able to confront the radicals in Jenin, in Tulkarem, and you will allow them to take over, so what do you think? We will sit idly by and wait for rockets to fly into Israel, or for Hamas to invade Israel from Judea and Samaria? No. You have to face the radical forces. And the fact that you are not able to provide an answer about the payment, about the 8% which I introduced the Council with the numbers, it's worrying all of us. You should confront the radicals. Take responsibility. We have no desire to be in Gaza. I have said it many times. We have no desire to go into Jenin and fight Hamas in the camps in Jenin. But it's your responsibility. Every nation, when you have terror activity, you deal with it. You confront it. But if you are not capable of doing it, then the responsibility will be on our shoulders. Thank you, Mr. President.
The representative of Israel for the statement. So, just a second. I give him the floor, but this is the final statement. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Only one question. The whole world is saying we want to have two-state solution, which requires the end of occupation and the independence of the state of Palestine. Is the representative of the state of Israel ready to accept this global consensus or not? Let him share with us his position, the position of his government, instead of taking us in so many small details here and there and avoiding to face the biggest question. Thank you.
Thank you. There are no more names inscribed on the list of speakers. The meeting is adjourned.